I still do similar things that I've done for several years now, but I always try to incorporate something new. In my template, the Echo Mixer, was kind of blown away by how it sounded and the kinds of things I can get out of it.
In the palm of my two hands, hold each other, that feels different.
Hi, I'm Tony Maserati, and I am an audio engineer and recording mixer. I'm here today to chat a little bit about my career trajectory and some of the techniques I've used and the progress and process that I've had in my career. I'm here with Audio Punks, and we'll talk a little bit about their Echo Mixer as well. I would describe my passion for music and mixing. It has to be from the standpoint of me as a young adult, playing music, the excitement of just learning a song. I find that most of my colleagues and most of my younger team members are very similar. They started out playing. It's a thing to do to show accomplishment, to learn a song or to play live. That's kind of where I started. When I work in mixing now, my imagination is excited by how things are made. You know, I have to say that the trigger for me to be in the music business, it really just came down to an interest in how music was made, how it became the thing that I listened to. My sister was in plays in high school, and I found performance to be an interesting idea. The idea of performing and learning a set of songs and performing them in front of an audience and reacting to that audience, of course, was thrilling. As all of us experience, the road takes you in different directions, and you have to follow it where you're most supported. So performance was not where I was most supported, but engineering, recording, live sound back in my early years was where I was supported. I've been lucky enough to have some incredible studio experiences, both as an engineer, as an assistant engineer, as a recordist, as a mixer. I don't even think I was an assistant yet, but I got to be in a room with Whitney Houston singing. That one event I will never forget. I'm lucky enough to have been in a room with Beyonce singing and Mariah singing and James Brown and Patti LaBelle. They were all moving. To be in a room with people of that level. If I was just getting my start today, the smartest thing I can tell folks who are interested in being in this business is figure out where your passion meets jobs, a place where you can make money, where you can make a living. I was fortunate in that I had a passion for music and an innate ability for technology that it worked out just right. I came into the business at a time when the technologies were changing, and I embraced the new technology, and I was able to turn that into a living, a career. And things are very, very different now. The way music is made is different in the sense that producers kind of mix for themselves, or they have an on-staff mixer, they have an on-staff recordist. The money that can be made in those environments is much less and may not support a family. Of course, your passion is only one element of that decision-making. Pay attention to that stuff and follow your passion, but make sure that it can support you. My reason for advancement started out as I could solder, literally. I was doing live sound. You can solder and fix things, you're hired. And then as a studio assistant, you understand ohms and speaker impedance and guitar impedance and microphone impedance. You're hired. You move forward. So advancement changes as your career changes, as you move into another step in the process. It's important for you to know new things. Whether you become a filmmaker or a music creator or music technician, it's certainly creative, but there's a lot of technology involved. Then it comes down to your taste and your communication. I mean, Rick Rubin is a case in point of somebody who is hired for his ability to create an environment that people can be creative in, hiring a support team that will capture that creativity, directing it toward something that will not only be creative and interesting, but hopefully successful commercially. And that's somebody at the top, right? But he has hired somebody who has a lot of technical skills as well. So you see how that works. I think managing the balance between personal and work life in this business has always been difficult. I didn't, honestly. I just worked. And that's why now I have children at a very late age, because I just worked. That's all I did. And that doesn't really add up for a good partnership. I think that those decisions really need to be part of your, you're laying out how you want to live. I didn't think about it enough. I was maybe more passionate about the work and kind of forgot about the other stuff. And I think that's really important. I would recommend prioritizing that. Throughout your career, those things will change. What's important will change. And you have to be aware of it, and you have to, of course, practice and be ready for that change to happen. Some of the techniques that I've been incorporating into my workflow, partly due to the new plugins, the new DAW, the new everything that is, as the software changes and develops, in some ways, the manufacturers of that software are creating ways for us to be more creative, less particular. The plugin companies and the plugin manufacturers are doing a great service to all of us by coming up with really interesting ways of being creative and also ways of manipulating the sound source. But my overall approach has not changed, and that is to make a song that's compelling to listen to and interesting, that will gain the widest audience possible. I still do similar things that I've done for several years now, but I always try to incorporate something new. So in my template, where I have my effects and my ideas, a lot of times what I'll do is just add a new plugin to an old track on my template. I do use a lot of analog equipment. I am always paying attention to what new pieces I can work with. I have 2 studios that I equip with analog gear. You're seeing some of it here. And I generally stick to very similar manufacturers, Chandler, DW Fern. I use some Stam Audio stuff. As you can see, I've got a Shadow Hills mastering compressor, but I've still got a lot of my old stuff. I've got a Neve console, Neve EQs. I still own some very old compressors. And then I've got some very new stuff, like the NG Comp from Wes Audio is controlled by a plug-in in my rack. So that's just fantastic stuff. There's such cool new things going on. So I'm here playing with the Echo Mixer. I was lucky enough to get a demonstration at NAMM. I was kind of blown away by how it sounded. And now I'm here working on my rig and playing with it a bit. And I'm still pretty blown away by the way that it sounds and the kinds of things I can get out of it. The unit is set up and separated into different preamps that create tonality going in. The intensity of the mixer, some length can be managed, and the mix itself, if you want to put it directly on a track. Some usual things, but there's also, which spring tank you want to try. What I've been doing is really just playing with the presets and then going in and changing some of the settings to what I think might be more appropriate to the track that I'm working on. So I've got it placed on an individual drum track, which is a loop. I love the way that the Echo Mixer kind of does some harmonic stuff, which I really kind of dig. Because it can add, real interesting something that I can add to a sound or something that I can use for a spot, maybe a turnaround or a transition into another section. I think those kinds of things are really important these days. The way that the filters are working, it sounds like a simple thing, but they just work really well on this. And I find that really useful. Obviously, it's a slider as well, so I can automate it by hand, which makes things quicker for me. Well, that sounds really interesting. The way that you can just use preamp is kind of fun, because I'm getting added excitement just by using the preamps, and that's really kind of fun. And then I can add a little bit of the echo to taste, which is terrific. Very cool. Lots of really fun things you can do. In some ways, the Echo Mixer is not a reverb. It's got filters and preamps, and there's a variety of mixing and filtering that can be done. Super cool and sounds great, which is obviously the most important thing. Super easy to use as well. As I said, I always start with the presets, but I go from there and just keep tweaking until I find something that I find interesting. And in some cases, I just print the idea and then pick and choose where I'm going to use it. I've also made some presets available to you. There's also an interesting feature on the Echo Mixer. They've created this sort of treasure hunt because they have a built-in amplifier in there as well. And if you find it on the interface, my assistant found it. I didn't know how to do it. And you can manipulate that further and create more interesting sounds. I hope you all enjoyed our little chat. The Echo Mixer is available on audiopunks.com, and have at it.